Okay. There it was. Okay, calling the ZBA meeting of August 14th, 2025 to order. Attendance roll, Jude Salato.
Jerry Lancaster.
Lakewood Road.
We have a quorum. We have minutes to approve of 7/24/25. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
We have one public hearing scheduled for tonight, August 14th, 2025. It's the second public hearing for ZBA case 2507, application of Howard Rifkin Realty 257 LLC, as represented by Peter Jacobson of 257 Tinker Street, Woodstock, New York, 12498, for property located at 257 Tinker Street, Woodstock, New York, 12498, a 0.69 acre parcel located within an R3 zoning district, for variance from the zoning law of the town of Woodstock, Article 9, non-conforming uses and non-conforming buildings, Section 260-94A(1)(2), and Section B(1)(2), in order to demolish an existing commercial structure and construct a larger commercial structure at a different location on the same road. So Martin Mills just entered the meeting, so add him to the roll call. Okay, Mr. Jacobson, would you like to come up? Are you not Mr. Jacobson? Sorry.
Yes.
You just gave me such a look, I'm like, oh.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about what's proposed, I listened
Okay.
to the minutes.
Okay, so you know where we are.
So it sounds like, it doesn't really sound like it matters what I'm gonna say.
Okay,
It sounds like you more have information to share with me than I have to share with you.
okay, so we'll just clarify, we continued the public hearing because we were waiting from the response from the Ulster County Planning Board, which we did get. At our last meeting, we did talk about this because it's been on our calendar for a while. I just thought we were kind of moving along. So you did hear where everybody seemed to be landing on this and what everybody was thinking. And but I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you had anything more to say. You have every opportunity to do that. You don't have to.
Yeah.
But you know, we just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the variance process works in depth, that's not my area of expertise,
Right.
but. I thought, Woodstock is a community where people are pretty apt to speak out when we disagree with some kind of proposed change. This wasn't, demolishing the existing structure and building something that was larger, on the same property for the same use. Seems like a good thing for the community in terms of improving traffic flow, improving the aesthetics of the structure, in terms of hooking up to town sewer, creating charging infrastructure for trucks, all that kind of stuff. And there wasn't any local opposition to that plan. The county basically, my understanding of what they said is they don't care, right? Like this isn't important enough for them to like weigh in on, that they're saying town of Woodstock,
Right.
whatever you decide is fine because this is like below our radar.
Right.
And yeah, it's an opportunity to bring investment into the community and expand the business, prepare it for growth, and also bring it up to a standard that's consistent with, I think, the modern amenities that employees are right to expect. I understand that the structure had been expanded in the past, but it's still very small, around less than 1,200 square feet. My concern for the community is that if I'm not able to expand on site, which it sounds like there's no room for expansion, there is the possibility that I go somewhere else at some point. And then what's gonna happen to that land? Like, it's residential zone, but I can't imagine anyone actually using the structure as it is, and so I think they would want to expand. And maybe that's possible with residential use, I don't know, but I think also the expansion is consistent with the nature of the community. Across the street is a massive fire station. There's the big library around the corner, Dixon Roadhouse. I mean, I think it's the smallest structure in that area. So anyway, so I'm sure this is stuff that you guys are aware of, but to whatever be on the record, I thought that this was a good project, and I was hoping that there would be support from the zoning board, because my understanding is you guys have the ability to interpret zoning law and sort of do what's in the best interest of the community, which I saw this kind of project being consistent with. But so those are my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have anything to say about that? I have a couple things, but I don't wanna be the first one always to jump in. Just
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I just wanna let you know that, there was, when the 1989 zoning law came into place, there was a very, deliberate effort not to let the Bearsville corridor turn into a commercial strip.
Mhm.
And that's why, all of those buildings became non-conforming uses, because the idea was eventually maybe it would revert back to residential, but the idea was not to let it expand into something greater. So, I was thinking about it when I drove by today. There used to be a dentist office that is now a residence. There used to be a Pilates studio. It's now a residence. So, so it kind of does happen. I'm not saying that anybody wants mountain pools to leave, and nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, the idea is for a non-conforming use, and this is not Woodstock law, this is the general notion of zoning, is you don't want to expand it. You want it actually maybe someday to go away and revert back. We had another case, where their non-conforming use expired because they stopped using it, and now they can no longer use it as a commercial piece of property. So it's not unique to you. And I think I mentioned that, a 25% expansion allowance for non-conforming use by most standards is extremely generous. Most places it's 10%. So that was already, utilized, that 25%.
Yeah.
So, what you're asking for is something in the nature of 300%.
Yeah.
And, much larger commercial building, and, it's kind of contrary to what the plan was. So I understand where you're coming from, and it's not just whether or not people show up and complain, because people don't show up much for anything anymore. It's the sort of the overall plan for the town and where it's going.
Yeah.
So that's part of our responsibility, is to look at this and try to figure out, what's best for the town overall. So, anybody else have anything to add?
Oh, I appreciate your points, because they're valid, but we also have to take in the existing zoning code and how it applies, and what Jude had mentioned about the lot coverage. Kind of outweighs those points, but those points are valid. Something has to be figured out with Bearsville and its commercial properties. Cause they're not, they're limiting expansion in a lot of ways, so I appreciate what you had to say, but we are bound by the code. And interpreting the code to the best of our ability to what it is.
Yeah, no, the biggest thing is I just wanted certainty about what was and was not allowed. And so just having a decision is valuable, and it's helpful to understand how the board thinks about these matters. I don't feel like I've been treated unfairly or anything like that.
Anybody else? Anything? Okay, so I move to close. I have a public hearing for ZBA case 2807, second please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we do have a decision. Do you want to listen?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So,
And it does make more sense to me, because part of what I was thinking about, and I was struggling with, I was like, so someone is going, no one is gonna, is my thinking, no one's gonna accept this structure and this property as it is. Someone needs to invest in it, especially if it's gonna be used in a commercial manner. Like it's so small, it's so integrated. But if the community's hope is that it reverts to residential, then it sort of makes a little more sense to me anyway.
Well, I mean, what I was saying is that's the premise of a non-conforming use in zoning. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, in Woodstock, it certainly applies here, but that's the whole premise is that you're not expanding the commercial area. And eventually someday, maybe it'll revert to residential.
Mhm.
That's not the reason why
No.
our decision
No.
was made, it's just that's the premise of.
Of non-conforming use.
Mhm.
That's why they're not allowed to expand and grow and. That's the whole idea behind the zoning of it.
Mhm.
I mean, these are principles that Woodstock has invented, right?
Yeah.
This is the whole notion of zoning. So there is, you know, you can, can we give him a copy tonight?
No, because the town clerk hasn't signed
Town clerk hasn't signed it, okay. So I'm going to read the resolution. Based upon the standards for consideration of area variances and conditional upon compliance with stated representations, area variances from the zoning law of the town of Woodstock, Article 9, non-conforming uses and non-conforming buildings, section 260-94A12 and B12, in order to demolish an existing non-conforming commercial building and build a larger building on a different location in a lot, are hereby denied, subject to all the requirements of the zoning law of the town of Woodstock, the New York State real property law, and all other applicable laws, codes, and regulations. The vote was announced as follows. Judith Salato, aye. Joseph Bellick, absent. Martin Mills,
Aye.
Greg Goodrow,
Aye.
Jerry Hankowski.
Aye.
Okay, the resolution was adopted by a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent, 0 abstaining, and 0 no vote. So I move to close CBA case 2507. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
No, I think it's good that you, before you moved ahead with purchasing the property, you were trying to find out what was allowed and what wasn't.
Yeah,
So it's good that you did that.
yep, thank you for providing clarity.
Do you want an unofficial copy now, and then I can email you the actual signed copy by the town clerk on Monday?
That'd be great, thank you.
Do you want to just sign your portion?
Oh, yeah, thank you, because I always forget to do that. And there's an explanation kind of in the.
Am I, and just out of curiosity, am I wrong to believe that the zoning board of appeals has the ability to interpret zoning code in any way they see fit, or are there true limits to your power
Well,
to issue variances?
there are court cases and precedents that we need to follow.
Yeah.
And if someone were to challenge this, they would probably prevail
Mhm,
because it's such a huge variance.
mhm.
Today's what's the date?
We do have a
It's
criteria
14,
of that
8:14.
involved as well, when we're determining,
That's seven.
Mm,
which is in the.
Right, we have to look at the criteria there, which, and the other part of this was that, it probably, once you demolish a building, you'd have to come back for a use variance. Which is a whole other kind of application, which is much stricter criteria.
mhm.
So this was sent to us as an area variance. It probably should have been a use variance, but we answered it the way it was given to us, but it is mentioned in the decision that most likely it should have been a use variance.
Yeah.
In which case, that would have never, you have to meet all the criteria and they're very strict.
Mhm.
And I don't think it would have prevailed in that case either.
Yeah,
And yes, we do have the ability to give variances, but we have to consider precedent, we have to consider the law, we have to consider, court cases and what.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to argue.
No, I understand, you just wanna,
I'm just trying to learn the process a little more.
Yeah.
And so really your exposure in terms of issuing a variance that's maybe not in line with guidance or precedents, is that someone from the community sues? basically,
Somebody can challenge, or,
Right.
we're put in the position of the next person who comes along who wants what you asked for.
Mhm.
And then if we were to deny them, then we'd have a problem,
Got it,
because they would be able to challenge.
right,
So we have to kind of look at the whole picture.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, wonderful, thank you for your time.
I think it's.
Okay. Thank you for doing that, I was like, you should see it.
That's unofficial, but
It's okay.
It's fine.
Okay, so we have a couple of decisions and orders and interpretations outstanding. There are no interpretations. CBA case 2501, application of the inventory. I don't know if you saw his email, but we have not heard. He said that he would be in touch with us. The application ZBA case 2506, application of Joe Fashkin, Nomad Capital, Woodstock LLC, that was withdrawn. So regards to that, I wish to make an announcement regarding the application of Nomad Capital. On August 7th, 2025, the applicant notified the ZBA that it is withdrawing its application to the ZBA for a variance regarding the allowed development density on its property located at 20 Country Club Lane in Woodstock. The applicant's withdrawal terminates the board's review of the application, and the matter is thus concluded. The ZBA clerk is directed to pay any outstanding consulting invoices for this application for work performed prior to the withdrawal, and upon payment of all outstanding invoices, shall return any unused escrow funds to the applicant. So that one is off our plate. Okay, ZBA case 2508, application of Damian Delicio. This was just for us, so I'd like to open that case for the purposes of board discussion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Oh, okay, so, I drove by, to take a look at what was being proposed, because sometimes when we see things on paper, it's very different than when you go and see it in person. So, I took some photographs, but driving, I don't even think the photographs do it justice, but, this is where we are. This is, he made this parking lot here, and the structure will be up here, and this is the, so it's kind of hard to see. But I took them anyway. I know, I went, Jerry went, Craig went. Do you guys have anything that you want to say about it?
I had to look at the address, because I thought that I was wrong, by looking at the map, I was like, oh, I don't see the problem here, but then when you look at it in person,
It's
it's
different.
really tight.
Yeah, it's, the houses are very close to each other in the neighborhood to begin with, and then
Right.
to add that kind of infringement. I wonder too about, is there fire code regulations regarding how close houses can be?
Interesting.
You know,
Yeah.
I thought that would be worth looking into for us to know if there's any kind of setback laws that the fire department has, or the state has regarding fire. Because this would be, if there were a fire in that structure, it
Right.
would really put the house next to it in danger.
Oh, sure, well, of course.
Mm.
That's an interesting
That
point,
is.
and that's something we should definitely look into,
Yeah.
because I think you're right. How would they even get next to it to put out a fire?
Which is part of the reason for setbacks, is so that
Right.
there's space.
Right, and I believe these are modified setbacks as they are.
Mhm.
When they were here last time, I suggested that maybe if they were, if they didn't do an accessory dwelling unit, but if they were just going to put on an addition, that we might view that more favorably, but after seeing the property and how close it is to the house next door, and the fact that it's gonna be not only so close, it's 5 feet away from their property line, it's gonna be up above, and none of these houses have that kind of,
Yeah, they're all. like
they're all
one-
kind of pretty much one-story houses that are fairly low, so that would be a huge detriment to the neighbor, even though people try to be neighborly, you know, people kind of think that if nobody complains, it means that nobody's concerned, but it's hard for people to come out and with a neighbor who they get along with, and they want to kind of keep the peace, and sometimes they're not willing to put themselves out there, and we have to, I think, Joe pointed out that, this is a variance that goes with the property, and he could turn around and sell it tomorrow. So we have to look at it not for this neighbor or him, but just sort of as a neighborhood question, and whether or not it's fair to the contiguous property.
And it also opens up what we just discussed,
Right.
with other neighbors coming and wanting to do the same thing.
Right.
It would,
It's a pretty large variance to ask for 10 feet into a 15-foot variance, so that's certainly more than 50%, so. So I think that we should, I mean, I don't know, how do you feel about that?
The existing plans, no. If it weren't towering over everything else, maybe that would be different if it were the same height, but
right.
you know, but it's not.
You know, I don't know, if there is. Any space in the backyard for an addition, I don't know, but you know, this parking area. You know, was, he's got two parking areas going here, this one, I think he just went ahead and put it in.
Yeah, that was part of the application.
Right.
When he was here, I asked him about that.
Right.
Because he's applying to do that, but it's already done.
Right,
And,
Right.
so,
well, you know, the thing is, he did it, but in order to have the accessory apartment. He would have to get a variance to park there.
Right.
It's kind of one of those things where sometimes you do things on your property and nobody knows.
Hmm.
But until you come forward with a proposal, then the question is the question. If he doesn't, if we don't give him a variance and he doesn't do anything, nobody will probably bother him about this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
there's sheds in the backyard. I looked at Google Maps, and so there is room in the backyard, but probably the two sheds in the back would have to be.
right,
relocated.
right. And I did notice there was a shed over on this side of the
Yeah.
property too, and I don't, you know, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. Martin, do you have any feelings about this?
I think it's a big ask to add a second floor to a neighborhood that's
Right.
primarily single story
Right.
houses. I think also the accessory dwelling unit was off the table for me, and
Yeah.
you know, if you wanted to make an addition to the existing house. That would be something else, but you know, his
Right.
options more look like they would be expansion in the rear of the single
Right.
story, if that is possible, you know.
Right.
Don't know what the setback is in the rear yard.
Right, well, you know, I think this is the Simulex building back here, is that right?
Yes,
So, you know, so if they wanted to infringe into the backyard, that would be something that would probably concern us less. You know what I'm saying? Into this backyard setback.
Yeah.
The way that when we discussed it last time, we said, you know. Basically what they said was they wanted to see what our response to this variance request was before they did anything else. I just wanted to be clear, because I had suggested that maybe something else other than accessory apartment could be acceptable here. But after seeing it, I'm going to say that design and getting so close to that next door neighbor in the setback, I'd have to take that back. You know, and you know, this is one of those things that I'm just gonna say to you guys, I mean, you both went on the site visit. Site visits are really valuable because when on paper, sometimes things look
Hmm.
really simple, and then when you get to the site, it gets more complicated, and the contrary is true also. You know, I went on a site visit where somebody was within 5 feet of their property line, but there was this huge precipice. So there was nobody who was gonna be bothered by this, and you know, so on paper, it looked like it could be a lot, but in reality, it wasn't gonna affect anyone. So anyways, okay, so does anybody wanna try to tackle this writing up this decision? And I'm more than willing to help with that. Does anybody want, cause I've been writing them all. Anybody? Any volunteer? You don't have to, if somebody wants to dive in, I certainly would help.
I'll take a shot at it.
Okay, and we can talk about it too. All right, great. So I would suggest that maybe by our next meeting, we have a decision. So I'm gonna move to continue case 2508, application of Damian DeLucio. Second, please.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we don't have any new cases, which is kind of astonishing. I'm going to suggest at this meeting, since we have no new cases, since we haven't heard from Mr. Vinci, that we cancel our next meeting. Summertime, everybody, I'm sure anybody's gonna mind. You guys, you good with that?
Sounds good.
Well, it leaves him hanging.
It leaves him hanging, it's
But we
true,
want to make a decision tonight.
but we can't really do that without writing the decision, but I think we sort of indicated where we're going.
But, you know, that's here and there,
Right,
here and there. Just-
okay,
I
well,
know they were wanting to know a decision for construction schedule.
That's a good point.
Okay, so then we'll.
Or you
we'll-
guys could also have a special meeting. It doesn't just have to be on
Oh,
that
we
day.
can do
If
it
it's just for a vote,
So maybe.
you guys can have a special meeting anytime in the morning if you guys are available. Any
So
day,
maybe we'll do that. Does that make sense?
you can come.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
we can just schedule a meeting and then we don't have to come next Thursday, 2 weeks from now.
Mhm.
Maybe we can even get Joe here. Okay. Welcome.
Sorry, I was late.
Do you have something that you wanted to address the board with?
No, I want to educate myself about the zoning and the zoning appeals process.
Okay,
So I thought it's a bit like doing an exam paper before you do an exam. If I come and I understand how people approach you and what they talk about and how you then discuss it, it would help me. I'm Lizzie Van, I own Bearsdale and the Lasher.
great. I recognize you
Yeah,
from when you were
Yeah,
doing
you have an
lectures.
application with us, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
the library is becoming finally, after a year and a half of owning it, but then staying there, they are moving to Dixon Avenue in
Mhm.
September.
Mhm.
And that means we can start thinking about, well, we've probably been thinking, but we can become more resolute in our plans. And the same with the Lasher buildings,
Mhm.
which are currently, we're doing everything we can. There's an HRHC line that runs through.
Right through your buildings, yeah.
Actually, imposed in the 60s on buildings that were built in the 1800s, so it's just a little weird, but so we're trying to work with Book Channel. And I just know that whatever we do, we need to come before the town, and I am just not knowledgeable. When we did the site plan with Bearsdale, COVID, it was the time of COVID and everything was done by Zoom, and I was totally naive and led by the engineers. And this time I thought I'd like to understand more so I can lead it myself. So I'm sorry I was 10 minutes late to this. I had no idea meetings only lasted like 20 minutes.
Well, some depends what's
Sometimes,
happening,
yeah.
depends what's happening, sometimes the room is full and we have lots of comments, this was not one of those. You know, I don't know what you wanna do, you may not come before us, you're in the libraries in the HC district, and you may just be going before the planning board if you're gonna do things, you may not be before us, depends what you're doing. So,
Yeah, so we don't know, and I'd like to think it'll just be a straightforward process and with the site plan review of the Lasher property. But I really want to understand the zoning, and I can only understand that with, when people have a variance, request a variance that you don't grant, it just is very educational for me.
Right.
So I'm just gonna sit in the back of your meetings when you have them, and just
okay,
learn for the next 6 months if that's okay.
of course, it's nice to have people interested, for sure. Okay, great. Okay, so we will be in touch about scheduling a special meeting to vote on the Delicia case, and I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay. You sure? Thank you.
Yep.
Good point.
People in touch with you regarding, so.
You know, we have, we take
Yeah, yeah.
the.
Good night.
the-